Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach. I want to welcome you to Ironside Lunch and Learn. I want to give an honorable mention to our good friends, Ofer Mizrahi and Judah Mendel. Be'ezrat Hashem, have a lot of atzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yedeihem, b'sorot tovot, and Be'ezrat Hashem that each one of them get their yeshuot, their personal yeshuot for everything that they're looking for. Also want to give an honorable mention to our good friend Miss Rose, that wants to do this class in honor of her daughter, Miriam Miss Rose.
Pesa.
But Pesa. Okay? And Be'ezrat Hashem, this would be Tasacha of all Am Yisrael.
Amen.
This week's parasha is the parasha Chayei Sara. Now, Chayei Sara talks very little about Sara because this is the parasha where she dies. She passes on. And basically, where the parasha starts is right after Avraham Avinu's 10th test, which was, as last week we went into depth into Akedat Yitzchak, and the Pshat story, the hidden story, all the different levels of that particular story. Akedat Yitzchak was not only the 10th test of Avraham Avinu, but it's very interesting. Avraham Avinu had a very interesting life. It wasn't an easy road. It wasn't an easy road for the first patriarch. As a matter of fact, Rashi and Rambam have the difference of opinion on what his tests were. For example, the 10 trials, Rashi says that Avraham's 10 trials were that Avraham hid underground for 13 years from Nimrod, who wanted to kill him. That was one trial. Nimrod also flung Avraham into a burning furnace. That was another trial. Avraham was commanded to leave his family and his homeland. That was another trial. As soon as he arrived in Canaan, he was forced to leave and to escape the famine that was happening over there. Sarah was kidnapped by Paro. The kings captured Lot, and Avraham was forced to go to war to rescue him. Another trial. God told Avraham that his offspring would suffer under 4 monarchies. And at an advanced age, Hashem commanded Avraham Avinu to get circumcised at 86 years old. The hunger in Canaan came after God assured him that he would become a great nation there. Also, the abduction of Sara. I skipped. He was commanded to drive away Ishmael and Hagar, and he was commanded to sacrifice Yitzchak. According to Rashi, those were all his 10 trials, which were all pretty big tests, one after another. The Rambam says, besides him being exiled from his homeland and the hunger that he faced and had to leave to Egypt, and the abduction of Sarah, and the war of the 4 kings, and his marriage to Hagar, and the fact that Sarah was barren and couldn't give birth, and the circumcision, he added over there the abduction of Avimelech's abduction of Sarah, and driving away Hagar after she had given birth, and the very distasteful command to drive away Ishmael, because you know that Ishmael made Avraham a father. And then Akedat Yitzchak. So you can see that it wasn't an easy life. He was constantly going through challenges. As a matter of fact, Rabbeinu Yonah says, no, that the 10th trial was actually the death of Sarah. That was the last trial. We'll get to that in a second. But you can see that Avraham Avinu just went through so much different trials, and now Sarai Menu, at an age of 127, passes away. And Rashi says, I'll read the first few pasukim to get us started. It says, "Vayu Chayei Sara 100 shana ve20 shana ve7 shanim shnei Chayei Sara." It says that the lives that Sarai Menu lived for 127 years. These were the years of Sarah. Vatamot Sara beKiryat Arba. Hebron be'eretz Canaan. She passed away in a place called Kiryat Arba, which is in a place that's in Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Vayavo Avraham lisrod Sara ve'lifkota. And Avraham came to eulogize Sarah and to cry. So, if you go into Rashi, it says, Lispod l'Sara v'lifkota. It says, why would he want to eulogize and cry for the death of Sara Imenu? So Rashi says here, Nismecha mitat Sara la'akedat Yitzchak. It says that the reason why the death of Sara is so adjacent to Akedat Yitzchak, לפי שעל ידי בשורת העקדה שהזדמנה לשחיטה, מכיוון שלא נשחט, פרחה נשמתה ממנה ומתה. He says, because when she received the news that her son is going to get slaughtered on the altar, and he wasn't, and it didn't happen, her soul left her body. Shouldn't it be the opposite? Shouldn't she have been completely shocked or maybe passed away from the news that her son is on the altar? She died from the news that he wasn't sacrificed on the altar. Why is that? Well, first you have to know that bad news is what killed Sara Imenu. You have to be very, very careful when you deliver bad news to people. But why would that particular news affect her in such a way? Because Sara Imenu thought, maybe I wasn't a good mom. Maybe I didn't do my job properly. How is it possible that my own son that I was so careful with my entire life, he's supposed to be a holy sacrifice to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and he didn't merit it? Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I did something wrong with my child, with my only child, that he didn't merit to that. She died from the fact that she thought that maybe she didn't do the right job with her child. That's what Rashi is telling us over here. Which normally we would think completely the opposite. What a tzaddik. Just to go a little bit more into the pasuk, it says over here, "Vatamut Sara beKiryat Arba." Where is this place, Kiryat Arba? So Rashi tells us something very interesting there as well. That it's called Kiryat Arba. It's called like the neighborhood or the area of four. Who are these four? It says Al Shem Arba Anakim. There used to be four giants that lived there, and who were they? Shayusham Achiman, Sheshai, V'Talmai, V'Avihem. These were three giants and their father. Davar Acher, he says, actually, the reason why it's called Kiryat Arba, because there's four pairs of couples that were buried in that area. Who are they? Well, it's that particular area is where we have Ma'arat HaMachpelah, and over there we have Adam v'Chava, Avraham v'Sara, Yitzchak v'Rivka, Yaakov v'Leah were all buried there. Now, out of all the places that Avraham Avinu could have buried Sarah, how did he discover Ma'arat HaMachpelah? How did he know to go to that exact place? How did he know to go to the middle of Hebron, to go to the middle of this field of Ephron and say, I want this field because you have a little cave over here? How did he know? Well, last week's Parashat, it says, let's see if I have it over here. In last week's Parashat, when he had the guests over, if you remember, there's a part where he was running after, when he was trying to prepare the food, and he tells Sarah to quickly create, make some dough and create some cakes and some food for the guests. And the next pasuk says, "Ve'el habakar ratz Avraham," and he says he ran after the cow or the calf. And the Midrash tells us that he ran after this bakar, and where did it take him to? It led him to Ma'arat HaMachpelah. It led him to that space, to that spot. And then he vikach ben bakarach v'tovet hananav v'mer asoto, and that's when he created that. We spoke about it last week, how he created that particular animal. The rabbis tell us when it says ve'el habakar ratz, it says don't read el habakar, el hakever, because bakar is bet kufresh. You can change the letters around and it becomes kever. And he went where? To the cemetery. He went to the tombstone. Why? Because ela kever. When he went over there, he saw it. When he came back, he told Sara Imenu, he told her, you know, when we had the guests over, I ran after the calf and I went to go catch him, and it led me all the way to where? To Hebron, to Me'arat HaMachpelah. When I went over there, there was a very strong light and an incredible scent, the smell of Olam Haba. And he goes, and I saw that over there are buried Adam and Chava. So she says, wow, that's where I want to get buried. So if you remember a few weeks ago, we learned together Eshet Chayei. There's a line in Eshet Chayei that says, Zamema Sadeh Vatikachehu. That she was looking at a certain plot of land, she wanted it, and she took it. The Midrash tells us which plot of land. This land, Zamema Sadeh. Which Sadeh? The Sadeh where the Me'arat HaMachpelah is, and Tikachehu. As soon as she heard it from Avraham Avinu, she says, that's where I want to get buried. So, a side point. Now, when in this week's Parashat, you'll notice a lot of drashot focus in on the word velivkota. That Avraham Avinu went to eulogize Sara and then he cried over Sara. But if you pay attention, Livkota has a very small chaf, a very, very small chaf in the word. And the rabbi and Rashi tells us, let's see what Rashi tells us for Livkota. No, I'm sorry, not the Rashi, the Midrash tells us why is it that Avraham Avinu didn't cry a lot. And not only that, people usually cry and then they eulogize. Why did he eulogize and then cry? Something is off. So first he eulogized and then he cried very little. Why would that be? So one is that Sarah was very old. She's 127 years old. That's expected. It wasn't a shock. That's number one. Two, Avraham accepts everything that Hashem throws his way. No matter what God throws in Avraham's path, he never complains about it. He always accepts it. He doesn't even complain about the process of what he has to go through. He just accepts each challenge for what it is. Furthermore, why do we have the small chaf? In order to show, why did he cry very little? In order to show that he's not sorry for the test that he just went through. You have to understand the 10th test that he just did was the biggest test of all. The 10th test. So in order not to show, imagine if he was really crying, he's like, oh, if it wasn't for me doing this Akedat Yitzchak, my wife would still be here. It would show what? That he regrets that he did the 10th test. He regrets Akedat Yitzchak. So in order not to show that, he showed some sort of emotion. He cried a little bit for his wife that he loved so much that passed on, but not too much. So people won't say that, you see, he regrets that last 10th test. So they say cry just a little bit. And not only that, if he was sorry for the test that quote-unquote killed his wife, what would that make? It would make Akedat Yitzchak not complete. It would be tainted. It would have sort of a black mark on it, because that's what caused Sara Imenu to die. But it wasn't like that. So he was very careful with the way he behaved in that particular moment. Now, like I said, Rabbeinu Yonah said that this is the actually 10th test. The actual 10th test is Sara Imenu. Why would that be? Well, you have to imagine. We just enumerated in the beginning of the class how many tests he went through. Akedat Yitzchak was the biggest one. Let's imagine it again. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, from this child you will be a great nation. And he's there on top of a mountain with a knife to his throat. I mean, how much of a paradox can this be? How complete opposite. Can you believe what Hashem promises you, but your actions are completely different from what the outcome of that would be? It makes no sense. Nothing makes sense in this trial. Yet Avraham Avinu is doing what? Hashem told me, that's my trial, I'm doing it. He accepted it. No questions asked. No questions asked. So after all that, you can imagine what a relief it is to pass a test like that. And then he gets the news that his beloved wife has passed. And now who does he meet? After this conversation that he had with his wife, and he knows that she wants to get buried in Marat HaMachpelah, he meets the used car salesman of Eretz Canaan, Ephron, the one who wheels and deals. Oh, you can get the place for free. What's 400 million between two good friends? So back and forth, and what he paid back then was an incredible amount of money for a field, let's just say. So you have to understand that Avraham Avinu, it's not that he couldn't withstand, in Rabbi Yonah's opinion, it's not that he couldn't withstand the purchase of a field or a plot of land or the death of his wife. But after so many trials, this is like the straw that broke the camel's back. Sometimes you can go through so many trials, and then somebody in the supermarket is what triggers you, and you go off. Why? Because it was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was very, very difficult for him. After all these trials, he has to deal with that, to deal with his wife, and it wasn't done the right way. So, it was very interesting that this was part of the trial that he had, that Rabbi Yonah counts it as his 10th, as opposed to Akedat Yitzchak. All this is leading us to one certain pasuk that I want to focus in on. After this entire back and forth with Ephron, we get to Peg Chavdalet. In Peg Chavdalet, the first pasuk says, this is after he buried Sara, V'Avraham zaken ba bayamim, v'Adonai berech et Avraham BAKOL. Right after that incident, it says that Avraham is an old man, and Hashem blessed him with all. Let me read. Now Abraham was old, well on in years, and Hashem had blessed Abraham with everything. That's the literal translation. And over here, I want to zoom in on what this pasuk means. So, Me'am Loez enumerates 10 rewards, let's say, that Avraham Avinu got for every single trial that he went through. This is very, very interesting. Because Avraham Avinu went through all these trials in his life, he got to a certain stage where now was the reward period, let's say. And what was it that he was able to benefit from after burying his wife? Let's start. First one, no more tests. That was it. After he buried his wife, after Akedat Yitzchak, no more tests from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What a relief. You can enjoy life, right? 2, Avraham Avinu was the first one to age. Listen to this. Up until this point, people didn't age. However, Avraham Avinu says, כיצד ייתכן שאב ובן ילכו יחד בדרך ולא ידעו הבריות מיהו האב ומי הבן כדי לחלוק כבוד לאב. He said, how is it possible that a father and a son can walk down the street and they look similar? The father and the son look the same age, more or less, and people that are meeting them don't know who to give kavod, honor to, as the father. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what? You have a very good point. And you're going to be the first one to be an old man. And his beard turned white, and Avraham Avinu became older, or older looking. And it says, Avraham Zaken. That's it. He was the first one to age in history. And since then, people would start to age. The aging process started in the world. Secondly, up until Avraham, there was no Yisurim. There were no afflictions in the world. Yitzchak Avinu says, if there's no afflictions in this world, that means that everybody gets to enjoy their life over here, but any sort of debt that they have to pay for what they did in this world gets deducted where? In Olam Haba. He says, no, that shouldn't be. Olam Haba is forever. Why should we delete or what should we take away from eternal life? Let's pay our debt for whatever it is that we did in this world over here through afflictions, through hardships, through difficulties in life. So like that, our share of the next world is not affected at all. That also happened during this time. That's why we see that Yitzchak, at the end of his days, Tikhena enough, his vision became poor. Why? In order for him to get some afflictions in this world. Not to lose any part of the Olam Haba. And as far as Yaakov goes, up until Yaakov, there was no sicknesses in the world. Sicknesses came into the world when Yaakov Avinu was at his deathbed. Why? Because Yaakov says it makes no sense that a person should just pass on instantly, sudden death. Why? Because it doesn't give him enough time to talk to his children, give him direction, give him a new path, a new road, make amends with people, do teshuvah. So Yaakov Avinu brought holy into the world, sickness into the world, but for the best. Because when a person starts to get sick, at least he has a chance before he passes away to get things straight before he leaves this world. So we see with Avraham Avinu, aging came into play. With Yitzchak, we had Isurim, afflictions. So a person cannot lose his Olam Haba. And with Yaakov Avinu, that you were able to get sick in this world, so like that before that you don't have sudden death. You could actually take care of things before you pass away. As a matter of fact, with Yitzchak also, the Midrash says that children were born, and as soon as they were born, they were ready to walk and talk. He was the first one to go through that aging process of slowly going from an infant to a toddler to a kid and grow. All that happened with our avot during this time period, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. The third reason, the third reward, it says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu birech et Hashem BAKOL. It says BAKOL is a daughter. Avraham Avinu was given the opportunity to do the mitzvah of Piriyah Verivya. According to the opinion of the Gemara, in order for you to really merit that you perform the mitzvah of Piriyah Verivya, to procreate, you must have a boy and a girl. So we know that Avraham had a boy, Yitzchak. Now HaKadosh Baruch Hu birech et Hashem v'Avraham zaken b'abim v'Hashem birech et Avraham BAKOL. The Midrash says BAKOL, that's the name of Abraham's daughter, BAKOL. Ironically, the gematria of BAKOL, Bet is 2, Chaf is 20, Lamed is 30, altogether is 52. 52 is gematria of Ben. So what's BAKOL? So you saw that Yitzchak right now survived Akedat Yitzchak. So now he has a son for real. What does he need to do? What's his responsibility? To get him married. So what's Vayivarech Hashem BAKOL? BAKOL, he has a son that right needs what? A daughter-in-law. Because right now he needs to find a wife for his daughter. Right away, the next story, right after this pasuk, is we see that Avraham Avinu sent Eliezer to find Rivka. Actually,
who's the mother if Sara died?
It doesn't say over here. It doesn't give that information. But if we go to the first pasuk, to remember we said Velivkota, V'Avraham lispod Sara Velivkota, right? Oh, I'm sorry. She's the daughter of Sara. Because in this pasuk, it's you just remind me of this chidush. It says Vayavo Avraham lispod leSara, and Avraham came to eulogize Sarah velivkota. Now, if you take the word velivkota and you take away that little chaf, you know what it spells out? velebita, and to her daughter. So Sarah's daughter BAKOL passed away on the same day as Sarah. So you read it like this: "Vayavo Avraham lispod leSara velebita," instead of that small chaf. So that's another thing that Avraham Avinu was rewarded with. The fourth one is that he had a life that was free of Yetzer Hara. Hishtalet ala Yetzer Hara. Not that he didn't have the evil inclination, but because he conquered him so many different times that right now he wasn't a bother anymore. The fifth reward, Ishmael Chazar b'tshuva. Ishmael finally made teshuvah, because it's very embarrassing that Avraham Avinu has a son like Ishmael. Went off the derech, doesn't believe, avodah zarah. At the end of the day, of his days, Ishmael Chazar b'tshuva. The sixth reward was that he died at the age of 175 instead of 180. He was supposed to live to 180. He died at 175. Why? Because Hashem did not want him to see Esav go off the derech. Avraham Avinu, it was during the time of Yitzchak, and also, when they were, the whole thing of Yaakov giving Esav the lentil soup. Lentil soup is a sign of mourning. Who were they mourning? The death of Avraham. And Avraham merited to not see his grandson go off the derech. That was another reward. The seventh reward is that he tasted Olam Haba in this world. He merited to have a taste of Olam Haba in this world. And not only him. There's only 3 people on the planet that were able to taste Olam Haba in this world, and that was Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. The eighth one, it says, Nidbarach BAKOL. He was blessed with everything, with all, which was Kesef, Zahav, Margaliot, Tovot. He had everything. He was extremely wealthy, extremely rich. He had gold, he had silver, he had diamonds, he had precious stones, and this is not common. Typically, when people get old people tend to start to use up their money or to lose their money. Avraham Avinu, as he was getting older, he was getting richer and richer and richer. The ninth one, the angel of death had no effect on him. As a matter of fact, there's a few tzaddikim in this world that the angel of death wasn't able to touch them. And who were they? Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aharon, and Miriam. These are 6 people that Malach HaMavet was not able to get a hold of. That was also one of his gifts.
Who was the last one? Miriam?
Miriam. And the last one,
What about David HaMelech?
does not say that over here, but on the next one, they do mention David HaMelech. It says, Hama'ala Asirit, Shesh Shiv'at Tzadikim, there are 7 righteous Tzadikim, Shelo Shalta Ba'em Rimam. They never rotted in their grave. And who are they? So they had Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aharon, Miriam, and the other one is Binyamin, the son of Yaakov. He never rotted in his grave, and there are some that say David HaMelech as well. So you can see that Avraham Avinu, even though he had very, very hard and challenging life, and he never complained, he always accepted his challenges, and he understood that it was for the best, eventually he got a reward for everything. Everything that a person could ever want in his life, Avraham Avinu got. Now, there's a lesson to be learned over here. This is the Musar Skill. The story of Avraham Avinu is the story of a man of chesed. Here is a man that his entire life all he wants to do is good. Loving kindness to every single human being on the planet. And his entire life, he got tested and tried with things that negated his nature. Things that went against what he stood for. He was challenged with everything that he represented. Everything that he stood for, his challenges were completely opposite of what he was. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised him riches and land. And his entire life, he had to deal, or a good part of his life, he had to deal with moving from place to place. From place to place. If you have a land, if you have a country, if you have a city, a state, what are you doing traveling all over? Did he say, Hashem, I'm picking up my tent for the 100th time in 3 years. Where's the land you promised me? Shh. He didn't say a word. Riches. Riches. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him you're going to be filthy rich. There's a famine in the land. He has to go and now break some food from Mitzrayim. Hashem tells him to listen to his wife. Listen to your wife. His wife instructs him to take Hagar as a wife and have a child. And there's this child. You have to understand. Avraham is Avinu's first boy, Ishmael. He loves him. It's his son. He's instructed to get rid of Hagar and to disconnect himself from Ishmael. Could you imagine that feeling for a father? Isha Chesed, to be mean to his own son. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Did he say anything? He didn't say a word. It's what God wants. Hashem knows best. Akedat Yitzchak. We can't even begin to understand Akedat Yitzchak. Okay, here's the son from Sara. This is the one. The one that from Sara, the one that he loves, his only one. The one that the nation of Israel, of Am Yisrael is supposed to come out of him. He's right there on top of the mountain with a knife to his neck. Can you understand that? Everything is complete opposite. He's going against it. It says over there, he says his hand is over there, but he doesn't. He had to force his hand to pick up the knife because his nature was that there's no way I'm picking up a knife to kill my son. He had to force himself. The Torah could have said anything else. Why did they want to highlight the fact that his hand picked up the knife? To let us know that he was fighting himself. He was fighting his inner self. He was going against everything that made sense to him. So he was constantly in a battle with who he was as a person, which is Isha Chesed, to all the other and all the promises that were made to him, and all the trials that Hashem put him through. So let's put that on hold for a second. We see that there's a true example of Avraham Avinu, who is an example of Chesed, but got tried by everything that has to do with everything other than that. I'll tell you guys a story, and hopefully we'll be able to tie it all up together. There's a guy who's married, and he knows that in order for him to be in a happy marriage, he has to do everything that the wife asks for. So the wife says, listen, the kids need shoes. Can I need to go to the mall and get some shoes. So I said, okay, not a problem. Here's the credit card and get whatever you need. She said, you know what? Do you need anything? I said, no, just get whatever you need for the children. So she goes to the mall for an hour, for 2, for 3, 4, 5, 7 hours later. She comes back. She's like, oh, I'm back from the mall. I was like, oh, great. What did you get? She's like, oh, I got you a nice handkerchief for your suit. I got the new set of plates for Shabbat. I got a new scarf for me, something that I really like. I got a new bottle for the baby. He says, and the shoes for the kids? Oh no, they didn't have it. So she went all around, got everything but the thing that she needed. The same guy sends his wife out to shopping for Shabbat. He goes, whatever you want to get for Shabbat, go and get it. But she goes, do you want something? She's like, yeah, there's one thing that I enjoy eating on Shabbat. I like jalapenos. I like to eat spicy. Please bring me for Shabbat spicy. She goes out and she shops and she buys the whole store. She buys everything. She buys the meat, the chicken, the fish, the candies, everything. Comes Shabbat, he's after Kiddush, he's eating, he's in the mood for something spicy. He asks his wife, you have a jalapeno for me? So, I didn't get it. I forgot to get it. See that sometimes you go out to get everything that you have a mission, and you get everything else but the one thing you went out for. It happens. It happens that sometimes you can go somewhere and you get everything else but the one thing that you're really supposed to get. What point am I trying to get to? In this world, we all have a mission. And sometimes we pick up everything else but the one thing that you're supposed to pick up. You're on a mission. It's like sometimes you ask your kid, go get me something from the store. And he goes and he gets everything except for what you asked him for. Why? So he didn't do the job. Like for example, I'll give you another example. There's a guy that works for a company. And he says, you know what, today I need to leave early. I'm not feeling well. I have an event tonight at 7 o'clock. I need to leave a little bit early. So the boss of the company tells him, listen, I have we have a lot of work. I don't mind if you leave early. But if you leave early, please take this envelope to the post office and mail it. The next day the guy comes, he tells him, did you got to leave early? How was the wedding? Everything was okay. Did you mail the envelope? Like, no, I forgot. The only reason why you were able to go early, I let you leave early so you can mail the envelope. You did everything but the one thing you were supposed to do. This is us. This is us in this world. Sometimes we think that we're doing everything that we're supposed to, but Hashem says, but it's not what I sent you for. I sent you for something else. You have a different purpose. There's something else you need to pick up. It's that jalapeno. It's that sneakers for the kids. It's that letter that you need to send out. That's what I sent you for. And sometimes we busy ourselves. Oh, I do so much chesed. I study so much Torah. But why I have so many difficulties? How come the difficulties are not going away? You know why? Because the difficulties in your life is what you're here for. How do you know what's your 10 trials in this world? How do you know what's the things that Hashem wants you to deal with? It's very easy. Whatever is hard for you in this world is exactly what you got sent here to do. That's it. If it's hard for you in your marriage, that is what you're here for. If it's hard for you to do tzedakah, if it's hard for you to pray, if it's hard for you to keep kosher, if it's hard for you to keep Shabbat, if it's hard for you to do anything, understand that that's exactly what you're here for. Whatever is hard and difficult for you, that is your purpose in this world. As a matter of fact, it says, Gadol ha-metzuveh ve'oseh mimi she'eno metzuveh ve'oseh. This is in Baba Kama, in a Gemara. It says, if somebody, for example, if there's Shabbat, who gets a bigger reward for keeping Shabbat? A goy that is not commanded to keep Shabbat and says, I want to keep Shabbat, and he keeps it perfect? Or the Jew that's commanded to keep Shabbat and keeps it perfect? Who gets a bigger reward? The one who's commanded or the one who's not commanded and doing it out of his good heart? What would you say? Who gets more of a credit? The Jew that's commanded or the goy that's not commanded?
The goy.
Wrong. The Gemara tells us, Gadol ha-metzuveh ve'oseh, greater is the one that's commanded and that performs as to mimi she'eno metzuveh ve'oseh, one who just does it because he's not commanded. Why? When you are commanded to do something, you know what happens right away? You have a yetzer hara, not to do it. As soon as you get some sort of mitzvah that you have to do, no matter easy or hard, what comes with it? The yetzer hara that tries to talk you out of it. That goy has no yetzer hara. He just wants to do it. There's nothing challenging him. It's easy for him. He wants to do it. We are doing it with a challenge in front of us. So you can see that this world is built that way. We are built in a world with challenges. As a matter of fact, a Jew, as soon as he starts to get on the right track, as soon as he wants to be on the right path, what happens? Everything goes downhill. All the challenges, all the hardships, everything. Why? Because the Yetzer Hara is going to lose his best client. Up until now, you didn't care. Now I got to watch out for you. You're going to pick up another mitzvah, another chesed, another tzedakah. I'm going to make it hard for you. So that's what's happening over here. Avraham Avinu got challenged with every step of the way. And he didn't say a word. He knew it was for the best. And at the end, he got everything that he wanted. Similarly is our journey. We need to know that there are going to be challenges. There are going to be things that are not going to make sense. Whether it's children, or family, or finances, or zivugim, or all the things that we strive for and are difficult for us, all the things that are in our service in Hashem that are difficult for us, you have to understand, when you find the difficulty, that is your tikkun. That is your purpose. Everything that's easy for you, Hashem says, you know what? In a previous life, you already took care of this. You're not dealing with it. You already beat the Yetzer Hara. If you're already waking up to nets in the morning, you beat that Yetzer Hara last Gilgul. If you're already giving tzedakah, you beat that Yetzer Hara last Gilgul. If you're already keeping Shabbat, you beat that Yetzer Hara the last Gilgul. But if it's hard for you to keep kosher, that's this Gilgul's, it's this turn's challenge. If it's hard for you to keep Shlom Bayit, that's your challenge in this Gilgul. That's your challenge over here. And when Ikvita de Mashiach, we are all recycled souls. There are practically zero new souls coming into the world at this time. Practically none. We all have spiritual baggage. You have to know that. You have to know that we are here with a list, a laundry list from a previous life, plus the challenges of this life, and you're here. And what's the point here? The point here is to man up. Understand that that's what the challenge is. The challenge is to take your challenges, overcome them, and move on. And what happens? Once you get checked off, once they get checked off, Hashem says, okay, the time has come to bless you, BAKOL, to get everything that you wanted. Whether it's the children, whether it's the Shlom Bayit, whether it's the Hatzlacha, everything will come. But you have to deal with the challenges. And that's one of the biggest problems in this generation, is that people run away from their challenges, and they become loners, and they become one of one, where Hashem created this world for us to be what? One of two. You got to find your soulmate. And then you got to be one of Am Yisrael, be part of a collective, part of a whole nation. And this whole planet is over here is for us to enjoy, not to retreat into ourselves, into our emotions, into our dark psyche, and just think that the whole world is wrong and everyone's out to get us. It's not. You have a mission, you have to fulfill it. And once you do, you have to say, Ata Nishma, they should bless you, BAKOL. Bezat Hashem, that we should merit, that we be blessed, BAKOL, in all the things that are connected to our families, our finances, our health, and the Bezat Hashem, we have the desire and the willpower to succeed in our lives. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.